pushing towards a no actually opens up yes. And what I mean by that is like asking somebody for permission to agree that it's not a good idea or that no is an option. When you make no an option, yes becomes a more comfortable path. When you talk to the customer only in a positive way and everything that you're describing is positive leaning, meaning you have leading questions, you're saying things like, we should do this, don't you think? Or any of those like positive leaning conversations. When you lean too far positive, the customer feels very unsafe to use any kind of no. And when they do that, we get artificial yeses or hiding. I was in a CRM today of a team. This is exactly what I saw. A lead manager, they had a 15-minute conversation. They set an appointment. They had notes. There was like pretty decent notes in the CRM. And when they left off on the conversation, they said they were going to check with the acquisitions agent and then call them back to book the appointment. Now, I have some issues with that from a structural perspective, but it didn't matter because when they called the customer back for the last 6 days, they haven't gotten an answer. And maybe you would argue that setting the appointment on the spot would have helped, and I think it would. But if one conversation led to 6 days of ghosting, I would say that the customer had some hesitation they weren't comfortable saying. And I would have rather known it in that call so I could do something about it or gently and graciously allowed the customer to have the space to tell me what was going on and maybe even decide not to do business with me, than for us now to have this awkward scenario where I thought I had a yes, I treated it like a maybe, I left it in the CRM without a clear next step, and now we're going to play this stupid game for the next week, which really just behaviorally telling me that they're probably a no, unless there's something going on in their world that's caused them to not be able to answer their phone for the last week. If that resonates with you, then what I'm telling you is somewhere along the way, there was a no that you should have gotten to and you missed it. You're one question away potentially from finding that out. And so what I talked about earlier in April was like finding these 4 opportunities, these 4 P's that I want you to go for a no. So number 1 is pain, right? This doesn't even seem like something that is pain, like going through the pain of selling the house doesn't even seem worth it to you, right? What's even frustrating enough about this that you'd even consider selling? Like challenging them that their situation doesn't have enough pain and doing it in a way that doesn't get them pissed. Number 2 is power, right? Hey, like it's okay if you don't necessarily have all of the authority to do this. Right? What typically happens next after a conversation like this? And I want to challenge and I want to say, like, do you often go through a process like this where you're learning about maybe taking a big step and then you don't actually take it? Process. Have you ever even done this before? And what did that process look like? Really going into and understanding the qualifying or disqualifying, like what does a great process look like for you? Are we headed down the wrong path with this process? And then the 4th one is price. And it's like, what kind of financial outcome would even look like a win for you? Is there even a scenario where there's a price that's not full price that you would even ever consider?